Hey friends, it's Mary Giordano and welcome to Unapologetically Wild. Every single day, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into the possibility of something even greater. And I'm here to spark that flame within you and inspire you to show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Messy, scared, and real. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Unapologetically Wild. We're officially on episode 11, and today we're going there. Are you someone who's always worrying? Like your brain is constantly spinning with what ifs, worst case scenarios, and everything that might go wrong? Maybe you don't even notice it anymore because it's just your default. But I want to be honest with you, that spiral, it hijacks your day, drains your energy, and it steals your peace. Worry isn't helping you. It's not protecting you. It's not preparing you. It's just keeping you in this limbo where you're spinning your wheels without ever moving forward. And I say this with love because I've been there. I've wasted entire seasons of my life playing out worst case scenarios in my head. And spoiler alert, most of those things never even happened. In this episode, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm here to help you see worry for what it really is. It's an illusion of control, a habit that keeps you in survival mode instead of letting you live. I'm going to break it down and give you something better to do instead because your future self, they don't have time for this worry loop. And you don't need more time in your head. You need more clarity in your life. Truth is, worry doesn't protect you. It fucking paralyzes you. So let's get into it. Now, here's the thing most people don't realize about worry. It feels useful. It gives your brain something to do. It makes you feel like you're on it. It creates this illusion that you're being responsible, prepared, maybe even productive. But underneath all of that, worry is just a distraction. It's a way for your brain to try and gain control in situations where you feel uncertain, scared, or powerless. Worry feels like protection, but it's just a coping mechanism for discomfort. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself lying awake at 2 or 3 a.m. playing out 17 different versions of a future problem? You weren't solving it. You weren't making it better. You were just sitting in fear, telling yourself that if you think about it enough, maybe you can prevent it from happening. But you can't think your way out of uncertainty. And this is something I actually learned from my parents growing up. Anytime I'd start spiraling or worrying about something, my dad would stop me and say, "Can you do anything about it right now?" If the answer was yes, he'd say, then go do that. If the answer was no, he'd say, then stop worrying. And my mom, she reinforced it constantly. She'd remind me that worry doesn't change anything. It just steals the moment you're actually in. That mindset stuck with me so deeply that I had it tattooed on my ribs after we lost my dad in 2012. In my mom's handwriting, I got the message my dad always came back to. Change what you can, worry not about what you can't. And listen, I know how it sounds. It's simple advice, but that doesn't mean it's easy to follow because telling someone to just stop worrying can feel dismissive. Like if it were that easy, we'd all just be floating through life calm and centered, right? But what my parents were really teaching me wasn't about pretending everything's fine or ignoring hard things. It was about learning to pause and ask, is this something I can control right now? And if it wasn't, to redirect my energy somewhere more useful. Because worry isn't solved by pretending problems don't exist. It's eased by knowing when to take action and when to just take a breath. And that shift, it's powerful, and it's helped me through some of the most uncertain, overwhelming chapters of my life. So here's the thing most people don't realize. Worry costs more than you think. It doesn't just steal your peace in the moment. It drains your energy, it hijacks your focus, and it pulls you away from the life that's happening right now. You lose time, you lose presence, you lose moments that could have been calm, connected, or even joyful because you were too busy bracing for impact. And over time, worry doesn't just feel exhausting. It actually rewires your brain. It teaches your nervous system to stay in a loop of hypervigilance and fear. It trains your brain to always scan for problems instead of possibilities. It keeps you in the waiting room of life, watching, predicting, analyzing, instead of actually fucking living. And the worst part, it becomes a pattern, one that feels normal, one you don't even question. But here's your reminder. Just because you've been doing it doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. The goal isn't to never worry. The goal is to stop letting it run the show. because your time, your energy, your attention, those are sacred. And worrying about what might happen is robbing you of what is happening. So instead of beating yourself up for worrying, let's do something different. Let's pause and get really curious, because underneath every worry is something much deeper. Worry isn't just mental noise or chaos. It's usually pointing towards something that matters to you, something you're afraid of losing, messing up, or missing out on. You worry about your health because you want to feel strong and capable. You worry about money because you want security and freedom. You worry about your future because you want to live a life that actually feels good. Worry often reveals what you care about most. But the mistake we make is letting it stop us instead of guide us. So the next time your brain starts spinning, ask, what is this really about? What do I care about here? What would it look like to take aligned action instead of just sitting in fear? Because if worry is just your brain's way of saying, hey, this matters, then your job isn't to silence it. It's to shift it, to take that same energy and do something useful with it. And trust me, I know how hard that can be. I'm about to share a story with you that really brought this home for me. I remember one time I was getting ready to head home from a solo camping trip. I'd been out in the wilderness trying to disconnect, clear my head, and just feel grounded again, because life at this time felt anything but grounded. But before I packed up, I happened to check my bank account, and I just froze because I didn't even have enough money to put gas in my truck to make it home. My heart absolutely dropped. I felt this heavy wave of shame wash over me, that sick feeling in your stomach where your chest tightens and your brain just starts spiraling. I started asking myself, how did I let it get this bad? How am I out here camping in the wilderness and I can't even afford gas to get home? What am I doing with my life? I felt irresponsible, embarrassed, like I was failing, like I had taken this huge leap and landed flat. Not because I was broke, but because I was trying. I was building a business. I was doing the fucking thing. I had left everything I knew behind for this new life I believed in. And in that moment, it felt like I was losing. And yet, as I sat there in my tiny camper, staring at my phone, spiraling through every possible worst case scenario, I remembered the words I have tattooed on my ribs, in my mom's handwriting. The words my dad used to say to me when I was younger: change what you can, worry not about what you can't. So I took a breath and I asked myself, what can I do right now? What part of this is actually in my control? The answer, not much. I had a little bit of money coming in, but not for a few more days. So I made the only choice I could. I stayed. And yeah, I know it might sound like, oh no, poor you, stuck camping a few extra days, but it wasn't this dreamy, peaceful adventure moment. I was nearly out of food, low on water. My camper needed to hit a dump station. I was emotionally tapped out. It was cold. I was uncomfortable. And more than anything, I felt stuck in this place between who I used to be and who I thought I'd be by now. But here's the thing. That moment taught me that worry, it wasn't going to put gas in my tank. It wasn't going to make the money show up faster. It wasn't going to fix anything. What it was doing was stealing my peace in the moment I needed it most. That moment reminded me that when things feel out of control, the most powerful thing you can do is come back to what is in your control. Not everything, not the whole future, just the next decision, the next micro action. That's how you take worry and turn it into wisdom. So let's talk about how you actually do that. This is where everything shifts because worry loves to stay in the background. It thrives in vagueness, in drama, in silence. So the first step, the simplest, most powerful shift you can make is to bring it into the light. Before you try to fix or solve anything, get it out of your head. You do this by doing what's called a brain dump. You don't need a fancy journal or the perfect setup. Just grab a notebook, your notes app, or the back of a receipt, whatever is nearby. Set a timer for 5 minutes and write down everything swirling in your head. What you're stressed about, what you're afraid might happen, what's keeping you up at night, all the what ifs and worst case spirals. No judgment, no editing, no second guessing yourself. Just let it out. Because once it's visible, it stops running the show in the background, and that's where you begin to reclaim your power. Now, here's what to do with what's on that page. Ask yourself, can I do something about this right now? If the answer is yes, Take aligned action. This doesn't mean to overhaul your entire life today. It means take one small step that reminds your nervous system, I'm not stuck. I'm not powerless. I can do something. Let's ground this with some real life examples. If your worry is about money, maybe what you really want is a sense of stability or peace. So ask yourself, what can I do right now to move toward that? Maybe you open your bank account and get honest with the numbers, or you cancel one thing you don't need. Maybe you sell something on Facebook Marketplace that's been collecting dust, or you start a small savings jar just to prove to yourself that it's possible. If your worry is about a hard conversation, maybe you're craving resolution or boundaries or connection. So with this, you can draft a message, even if you never send it, or journal what you wish you could say out loud. Or maybe you just get clear on what you actually want from that exchange. If your worry is about your health, maybe what you want is energy, strength, or peace in your body. So you go drink 1 glass of water, or you move for 5 to 10 minutes. You walk, stretch, turn on some tunes and do a little dance, something. Or you book the appointment you've been avoiding. If your worry is about your future, maybe you just want a sense of direction. So you could write down 3 things you do know about what you want, or you could create a future self checklist, or just do one tiny thing today that nudges you closer to where you want to be. The point is to take just one step, because once your energy is in motion, you build this momentum and everything feels a little more possible. But what if the answer is no? What if there isn't an action you can take right now? That's your cue to shift from control to grounding. Because not everything needs fixing. Sometimes what you need most is to come back to right now, to remind your nervous system that you're safe and that this moment, it's okay. Now you might be asking, Mary, how on earth do I do this? Well, here are a few of my favorite ways. Number 1, you can pause, drop your shoulders, and take 3 slow breaths. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold at the top for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 8 seconds. Do this a few times and you will physically feel your nervous system start to settle. Your mind slows down and your body softens, and you remember you're safe and this moment is okay. Option 2, place your feet flat on the floor, press them down gently, and say out loud, I am here, I am safe, this is what's real. Feel the ground holding you. Let your voice remind your body that you're not actually in danger. You're just having a thought, not living a crisis. And then last but not least, option 3, step outside just for 5 minutes. Let the sun hit your skin, feel the air on your face, notice the ground under your feet. Even the smallest dose of nature helps regulate your nervous system and pull you out of your head and back into your body. Remember, it's not about escaping. It's about anchoring yourself in the now, not getting wrapped up in the stories in your head. None of these are difficult. They're not dramatic, but your nervous system will feel them. You're reminding yourself that this isn't happening right now, and I don't need to live like it is. That's when you can take it a step further and create a new anchor. An anchor is something that brings you back to center. It's a memory, a moment, or a version of you that reminds your brain, I've done hard things before. I've made it through worse. I'm not powerless, because every worry is trying to protect something. And one of the most powerful ways to respond is to interrupt the spiral with evidence from your own life. So if you're worried about failing, anchor into a moment you figured it out even when it was messy. If you're worried about rejection, anchor into a time you took a risk and grew, even if it didn't go perfectly. If you're worried about the future, anchor into a version of you who's already handling it, the one who's calm, capable, and figuring it out step by step. You don't need to have it all figured out, just enough to remind yourself, I've done this before and I can do it again. And every time you do that, you're literally rewriting the pattern. So now it's your turn. If you want to shift your relationship with worry, you've got to start noticing it in real time, because awareness isn't just the first step, it's the power. So here's your challenge. For one full day, track your worry. Every single time it pops up, pause and write it down. Use your notes app, a sticky note, a journal, whatever works. then ask yourself, is this happening right now? Can I do something about it right now? What would my future self do in this very moment? You might be surprised by what you uncover because just like I mentioned earlier, most of the time, worry shows up like background noise. But once you shine a light on it, you'll start to realize how often your brain is rehearsing fear instead of responding to life. You don't need to judge it. You don't need to fix it. You just need to notice it. That alone is a very powerful microshift because every time you pause and interrupt the worry spiral, you create space. You reclaim your energy and you remind yourself, I get to choose my response. So try it for one day, and if something clicks, if you have a big or even small realization, I want to hear about it. DM me on Instagram at liveunapologeticallywild, tag me in your stories, or leave a review if this episode hit home. I love hearing what lands, and I always share some of your wins in my stories. Thanks for tuning in today. If this episode hit home, subscribe and share it with a friend because together we can bring more women into this wild, unapologetic space. Remember, waiting until you feel ready is the fastest way to nowhere. So show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Until next time, stay wild.